Hello, everybody. It is January 4th, 2023, and we all know what January 4th means. It means WrestleKingdom. And what a show it was. Today I'm joined by Clark Taylor, as usual. How are you, Clark?
I'm doing well. I did my best to make it all the way through the show last night with you. I made it till 2 a.m. Pacific, just short of the co-main and the main, and then I said I wasn't going to say it on air, but I guess I will. I watched Okada Ospreay in a nice hot bath this morning to recover. It was outstanding too, man. Match of the year thus far. Am I right? At least in my eyes.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, we're only 4 days in the year, but
Yeah,
it beat Rollins versus Theory, which was also a good match. But today we're also joined by Chaos. How are you, Chaos? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good. It's all good. Thank you very much for having me here. I ain't gonna lie. I said it yesterday. I'm gonna say it today. This feels weird not being the host, but it's all good. It's all good. It's we got a lot to talk about, especially what's happening in the past 24 hours, ain't we?
Yeah,
guys?
no, we have. It's gonna be a packed show today, mainly New Japan based. But let's start it off with, of course, the big headline coming out of the show, and that was that Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Mone, is in New Japan Pro Wrestling Stardom. For those of you guys who don't know, Kairi, formerly known as Kairi Sane in WWE, defeated Tam Nakano in what was a surprisingly short match. I remember when I was watching it this morning with Clark and Kobe, I said to them, "Oh, this will get 20 minutes." It did not get 20 minutes. It got between 5 and 10. It was, it was nothing special of a match, unfortunately, despite the fact that they're two really, really talented athletes. But it was what happened after the match that was, of course, the big selling point. And that was Kairi Sane held up the title, and out came Mercedes Mone. There was not much of a pop for her, unfortunately, from what we've been told from from our source inside of the Tokyo Dome. It wasn't just the cameras didn't pick up on it. There wasn't that much of a pop. It's probably, I don't know how many of the fans they know who she is really. Of course, they knew Jericho a couple of years ago, but maybe it was the fact that they were wearing masks, so it was less of a less crowd sound. But who knows? But it wasn't that much of a pop for her. She came out, went to shake Kairi Sane's hand, and then instead hit this new move, her new finisher, presumably, and as you guys all know, I'm the worst at explaining what moves are. I wish we had Kobe here right now, but she had her on her back, turned it around, went to go into a DDT, but Kairi landed on her knees. So when she was meant to go for the DDT, Kairi was already down. So then Sasha Banks just decided to take a back bump, and it looked awful.
It looked awful, and what made it even more awkward was that you just hear Sasha Banks do this awkward laugh, but no one was reacting at all. No. It was just you heard this mild clap. Well done. For effort. It was hilarious.
It looked like the start of the creative move. It essentially looked like she was like going for almost like a backslide, some sort of like inverted, almost like she was going to set her up for a razor's edge and then to turn it into a DDT. Yeah. But it just somewhere in the middle of it went awry, and like that's Chaos's point. The worst part was the laugh made it so obvious.
Oh yeah,
because it was like, oh, even she knows. Like, oh no, like, oh no, like even she knows, like that.
It's in the move. Up. It looks like a lot is going on in that move. So in terms of it's something that you can create a finisher in WWE SmackDown versus Raw.
Right.
You're doing all this flippy doodads. It's like. Doesn't someone in AEW have something similar to that where they have it like that and then they flip them around and knee them in the face? Is it Anna Jay? Or
well, I mean, by the way, A-Town Down from Theory is similar on that in that regard, but that's from a fireman's carry spot.
Yes,
and then I was also there's another. What's the other? Sammy Guevara with the.
Oh yes, Sammy
Guevara uses one similar. Yes, Guevara does as well. Yeah. I believe that's actually like a variant of the Burning Hammer, though. Is the one that Guevara uses, correct?
So the name of the move which Sasha Banks did last night is a gory bomb to DDT. So that's what was meant to do, but a gory bomb got done.
You know what? Okay, wait a minute.
On knees instead of standing.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah,
and I believe that Eddie Guerrero executed that move on Mysterio in the Halloween Havoc match.
Yeah.
Someone fact check me on this. I believe that's the last time I saw the move, and now I know what it's supposed to look like, and that changes everything. That makes a ton more sense too with her like career long love of Eddie. I'm almost positive the last time we saw that move in like a big time setting was Eddie on Ray in the Halloween Havoc match executed that exact.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
That makes a ton more sense. Was that Halloween Havoc 97 correct or 98?
I believe
one of those. It's on 2K. That's what I know.
It's the mask. Yeah. It's the mask match. I actually watched that live with both my parents.
Wow.
On pay-per-view. I was about I guess 6 at the time, but
I wasn't alive. No.
I do remember.
Bless you.
I mean that was like kind of like when I was in the eyes wide childhood wrestling period, but Ray in the purple gear, that makes a ton more sense of why that would be the choice as far as moves. It's actually, to me, it makes me sadder making that connection now.
Actually, I've only just
that it didn't go as well as it should have.
It wasn't the Halloween Havoc match, but it was Eddie versus Ray.
It was Eddie Ray, so it's not the Havoc
match.
Was
Ray was wearing a neon yellow attire. Eddie was wearing black and red.
And so that must have been when that must have been the title defense when Ray was, because he won the belt in that. Remember, it was belt versus mask.
Oh yes, yeah.
So that must have been the title defense. Would that have been don't quote me, Starcade Road Wild?
Honestly, I cannot.
I'm sorry, I'm a goofball.
No, we got a producer Kobe here today, so I'm currently trying to do the Googling and the camera.
Yeah, it's all good.
And the talking. Good. Yeah.
Sorry, that's my fault. I'm putting pressure on you with that too. With my weird history.
No, it's all
stuff.
good. It's all.
You know me. I'll mark out for history.
But what did you actually think, Clark, of the Sasha debut? Well, sorry, Mercedes Mone debut.
So I'm a huge Sasha Mercedes Mone fan. I didn't mind the name at all. Mercedes Money specifically, I thought would have been too aggressive. Mercedes Monet, I'm fine with. I think it's cool. I actually thought the hair was really, really cool with the look. It was like kind of more modern. It was different, even though I know it's not what we're used to with Sasha, but it was more of a modern look, and to change it up for New Japan, I think made sense, as opposed to being the exact same look that she had in WWE. And I thought the headdress thing during the entrance was pretty cool. I actually thought as much as we kind of joked about the song being a little repetitive and corny last night, I actually thought it fit. And with the slow walk, especially given the setting, I don't really see another way. She wasn't going to come in rah-rah like the way she wasn't going to come out and do the boss type mannerisms in that setting with that long of an aisle anyway. I thought she did great on the mic. We even discussed the ability to talk slower for the translation and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was when you heard that's when you heard the best of the crowd reactions, I think. I'm such a huge fan of her work. The botch part of the thing only more is just, I'm just sad that it wasn't perfect. Yeah. Because I think if that had gone right, even if the crowd was a little bit dull at the beginning of the segment, then it's a win. It's fine. That's the only part that was disappointing to me, but overall, I'm excited to see her back in professional wrestling. Pro wrestling needs Mercedes Sasha Banks. She's an elite talent, and it's just good to see her back in the ring again.
No, totally. I completely agree with you there. I mean, I personally think that her new hair looks like a carpet or something. I'm not a fan of it. I don't get it. But I do agree that it's got to change things up. And I loved her attire. The theme I really did not like. Very super repetitive. But I am a huge, jokes aside about the theme and the hair, I'm a big well, I guess now Mercedes Moné fan. And I'm really excited to see her work. It should be an entertaining few months at the very least, for sure. Apparently she's getting paid 100k per appearance as well, which is mad. Oh, sorry, over 100k per appearance, because Jericho was on 100k and she's been paid more than that. What did you think about all of it, Chaos?
God, I'm gonna sound like Ignacio right here. So I'm in the opposite. I mean, obviously you can't help if because she's in a new market, and we all know that WWE does not air in Japan, so they haven't been airing in Japan for years, so it's understandable that not many people would have known who she was. In terms of the appearance, I mean, sure, I don't really care for the entrance music or anything like that, but at the same time, she does give me Carmella vibes. The name, the music, the look definitely kind of gives me that Carmella vibes, and like the headdress. I mean, it's really look cool, but Selena Vega's been doing it for time. You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
didn't
and
think about that.
if anything, she does it better than obviously it's their debut. She might not be her permanent look, but yeah, I don't know. It was a bit of a flat debut. I mean, and it was the worst kept secret, obviously. But yeah, only time will tell. She can definitely, it's ever going to be a make or break thing in the New Japan. I think she will have more fanfare in AEW if she does end up being Saraya's mystery partner. I think she'll have more success there than in New Japan, because I thought that was very left field for me. Or in Stardom, I think she'll have more success in Stardom than New Japan as well.
Oh yeah, she'll be super over there.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I also just wanted to point out, it cracks me up that you pointed out Carmella, because they're both from Massachusetts.
Oh, there you go. Fair enough.
How funny is that? They're both Boston girls, basically, right? Like that is actually hilarious.
Fair enough. But
and Jacob, you in the comments is asking if Carpet Right is now a sponsor of New Japan, following that new.
I mean, she had the leopard print. It was a leopard print, and it was like blue, so it was different. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't look right. I ain't gonna lie, it doesn't look right on her. I mean, I do miss. It makes you really miss either the blue or the purple hair she had before. But it might grow on me. The name will take time to grow on me. I'm not really a fan of that either. I'm really hating on her right now, ain't I? But yeah,
no, not too bad.
It's just how I
think also, like, we got used to the bigger hair, and the fact that it was so short was pretty jarring to people, I think. But I got kind of like Egypt, Cleopatra, like CEO boss chick vibes. That's where I saw in it. And that's why I thought it landed, especially with the headdress on the slow walk. And then she does the CEO thing, because obviously the boss is WWE property, right? You're not going to be able to say that one. And so I thought the CEO was a nice pivot. Yeah, but I do hear where you're coming from on I think more than anything, it was jarring, right? Because I would not have, if we had recorded this live, I don't think I would have had the exact same perspective. I had to kind of think about it. I went back and watched the clip again, because I had to find something positive too after the botch part. To be completely honest, right? And so maybe now I'm role reversaling with chaos here, and it sounds like I'm doing that. But I did find the more I thought about it, I'm like, I get the Cleopatra kind of with the very regal, the gold and blue, right? So you have the blue, kind of the old with the like bubble look, and then the gold behind it. I thought that was cool. I thought it was also interesting that she was wearing heeled boots, and I wonder if that contributed to what happened with the move.
I don't think it was her fault. I think it was Kyrie.
That would make sense for sure.
I think it was a miscommunication, and Kyrie thought she had to go down on her knees and then the DDT, whereas in reality she was meant to be on her legs and then take the DDT.
And then take the DDT.
Yeah. It was definitely a miscommunication there on Kyrie's part, definitely.
And Jacob's asking you, is this the official hairstyle special today?
No. We'll finish the hair talk. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to jump your ship there, Allison, but I'm like, that's the end of the hair talk. We're good.
But it was an okay debut. The name, I'm not sold on it. The theme, I'm not sold on it. The haircut, I'm not sold on it. The new finisher, I'm not sure if I'm sold on it. But it's Mercedes Mone, or formerly known as Sasha Banks, and I'm sold on her. She's great. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. It's just one of those things where debut didn't go as planned, and a few things will take some time to get used to.
Do you think? Quick question: do you think she's worth $100,000, more than $100,000 than a per appearance?
No, I do not. Jericho. Okay, so here's where it came from. Jericho was being paid $100K per appearance, right? But he was working one less. Second, we're presuming less. From how she's talking, it sounds she's going to be fairly regular. But yes, Jericho I think he only had 3-4 matches in New Japan, and it was $100K per match, and he drew a lot more than that, right? He drew them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's why he should have been paid more. Mercedes Moné obviously knew this, went to them and asked for more money. Or more money. And she got it. Do I think that she's going to earn the amount Jericho did? I think clearly post-pandemic, and this is not even clearly, they've got way less subscribers on New Japan World. They're not doing as well. They're not even doing as well financially in Japan, obviously, but they're not doing well internationally right now. So obviously they're trying to bring fans back with her. But no, I do not think that she's going to be worth that per appearance. I think she'll be an asset to them, but I don't think 100K per appearance. What do you think, Clark?
I think, honestly, I think more than anything, it's just cool she got it. She bet on herself. You know, she put all the eggs in her own basket and bet on herself, and she got it. And sometimes when that kind of thing happens in sports, you know, the guy that takes a 1-year contract bets on himself and then gets the big money. Sometimes they don't deliver on that, but sometimes they do. And I don't necessarily think it's early enough for me to tell. I totally hear where you're coming from on being skeptical on, can she earn that back? Can she be worth that? I think it's too early to tell, but it's telling to me that the attitude that she had with, it takes a lot of guts to put the titles down and leave the biggest company in the industry. It takes a lot of guts to bet on yourself like that. And that level of confidence and if you put the work in and get in the zone and put on unbelievable match after match, and maybe the promos get better from here, right? Yeah. I don't see any reason she can't draw a ton of money.
Yeah. No, I think she will, but I just don't know if it'll be.
I just don't necessarily know that she will. Exactly. I would be. Yeah, that was the distinction I was gonna make. I don't think she can't, but I also don't know that I would put my name on she will outdraw that big of a contract. But it's also a tall task, but the type of person who would want to complete that tall of a task would be someone who bet on themselves like that. And so
exactly,
I wouldn't bet against her. Is I guess what I would say.
If she has a 6-star on Dave Meltzer's crooked scale, let's say, in the first match, then it will bring a lot of eyes to the product, because they'll be like, well, you know, we need to see this. So it really does depend how she performs. Maybe she could prove me wrong, and I really hope she does prove me wrong, and she does earn, you know, well, not she's going to earn the money regardless, but I mean, she earns that much money for New Japan. I mean, personally, I think about 50, 75K per appearance would have made sense, but presuming it's presumed it's about 150K per appearance. Because we've been told that it's more than Jericho, so you know that's a safe assumption to make, and Jericho's 100K. But anyway, let's move on now to the next match, right? Well, sorry, not the next match, but the next match we're going to talk about. And this was, of course, you know, outside of Japan, the biggest match being talked about going into this show, and that was AEW's Kenny Omega versus the man who was meant to replace him, Will Ospreay. And damn, this match was as good as the build. They really, for half an hour, it flew by. I don't know how long it actually ended up going. I don't think it made 35 minutes.
I'll double check.
Cool.
I had to check the time at the end because I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't enough time. It was, give me more. Like it was, it was not that it wasn't, it was instant classic. I mean, right? There's it's as high of a praise as you could give. It's funny because I did make a joke on yesterday's show, not to toot my own horn, but I said, I think the next time we talk about this will be about it being an instant classic. And I think that's where we're at. What more could you ask?
34 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah, just
34 minutes, 38.
34 minutes, 34 minutes, 38 seconds.
It's just a beautiful time too, right? So not too long, not too short. Oh,
that is, you know, it was a perfect. But here's the thing, right? The main event, which we'll get to later, right? Felt like it went a similar length and felt like it went too long. This match was just it was innovation galore from start to finish. It really was just absolutely superb. 34 minutes and 38 seconds flew by. It honestly felt like 20 minutes to me. I was a huge fan of the match. And, you know, I'm not somebody who always goes around praising Kenny Omega or whatever, like I know some people do. But I thought it was a phenomenal match. And Kenny Omega proved once again that he certainly can go in that ring and have, long classic matches, despite the fact he hasn't had one in a couple of years, because obviously, not in Japan, in AEW, you don't really have that, well, regularly, you don't really have that time frame to do that, because obviously there's a lot more wrestlers, and it's just obviously it's American versus Japan, they're very two different industries. But I thought Instant Classic gets overused a bit, but I'd say it's an easy 5-star on our scale. Maybe I just spoiled the fact that Kobe Galanzowski's review is going to go up on Friday or Saturday, I think, and in that we will be seeing it. What were your thoughts on it, Chaos?
Yeah, I thought it was, from start to finish, it was pretty good. I mean, obviously the way I think Soul said it in he's joined us in the comments, and he said obviously how Omega came out to the one-winged angel theme from Final Fantasy VII, and the theatrics with it as well was freaking awesome. It started off a bit slow at the beginning, and it wasn't until Kenny Omega brought out the table that's when things, in my opinion, things really, really picked up. And then it was just hard-hitting fit moves after hard-hitting moves. That flipping hidden blade move is just fucking this lethal. The guy just did not care how it was landed. It just didn't hold back. And yeah, it was just enjoyable. What I say is it's definitely match of the year candidate, 100%. I mean, and Omega usually has a good streak of these, having these match of the year contenders so early in the year. Please see him and Okada and all them kind of stuff. So, it was a good return to see him back in New Japan, and I have nothing but high praise for the match. Definitely match of the night for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought at times, one thing which frustrated me is a lot when Omega was in Japan, that people would just focus on Omega. But what I will say is I always, every Wrestle Kingdom, really looked forward to seeing his matches. So I guess, I'm contradicting myself there, but it truly was. It felt so good to see him after 4 years to see him back at Wrestle Kingdom. It felt so cool. And of course, you mentioned the entrance. Soul here is commenting, Omega coming out to One Winged Angel from Final Fantasy VII was so effing cool. And it was a really badass entrance. I mean, Will Ospreay's, bringing back Elevated was also very cool. I was a big fan of that entrance, but it just from start to finish, I really loved this.
It truly felt personal. It truly felt personal.
It completely did.
It was pure. I mean, I thought, it's easy to heap praise on both guys. It's like and I kind of laugh, like Omega almost has become like what Cena was at a time in Japan, where you're like, dang, we know he's good, but I'm sick of Kenny Omega being so put over. And I think last night he kind of did the "Don't forget about me too," and that was cool, and that Ospreay and him were able to do that together. I think shows you just how true of pros they are, because they're very aware of that type of narrative going in, that type of perception of what Kenny was. That was why those promos were so calculated in the build, all the way, as you guys mentioned, the entrances through that into the opening sequence where Kenny actually looked fresher than maybe normal, right? He kind of controlled the early action, not to use an old school, commentary cliche, but he controlled the early action as such. And then Ospreay's fighting spirit as you go along, and then it becomes the back and forth war, right? It was a little bit almost like Ollie Frazier-esque, where you have the opening rounds dominated by a few, and then one big punch by Frazier changes everything, and then Ali comes back in the late rounds, and it was the ebbs and flows of the whole thing, I think, is where the brilliance was, because you were never quite sure that it wasn't about to hit the finish, that it wasn't about to end for the last 5 minutes. And I think that's why they flew by the way they did.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And I think that my favorite spot from that match, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, was the DDT onto the exposed turnbuckle.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
That was genius.
Brutal. And after it, of course, Ospreay was split open on the floor. They're not allowed to blade in Japan. It was so I doubt it was a blade job. Maybe it was, but I doubt it was. Afterwards, I sent a text to some of my mates, and I was like, "Will Ospreay really hurt you?" Because he was selling ridiculously well. And for the next 5 minutes, I thought, is Omega's trying to get him through this match, and then he came right back into it. It felt like it truly broke kayfabe not broke kayfabe, made kayfabe feel alive to me. It was truly awesome. What did you think about that spot, Chaos?
Oh yeah, it was freaking brutal. I mean, there's so many brutal parts in it. There was one bit where he lodged him into the turnbuckle. Ospreay lodged Kenny Omega into the turnbuckle, and he just kept super kicking him in the head constantly, and he was just like, this feels too legit. Like it really felt like they really hated each other. And I know that New Japan is strong style, but it was just like I thought it really felt like they were legitimately trying to hurt each other. And it just told the story even better, coming off, already possible promo of the year, between them at the press conference. It just made it more special. There's so many, like the stomp through the table. I mean, that could have went either way. He could have broke his arm. He could have snapped his shit up. It was just manic. And he did the Johnny thing, the here's Johnny thing for the table as well.
Yeah, I've got it. Let me try and.
I didn't have to suspend disbelief. I just gave disbelief the day off. It was it was not that hard.
There you go.
I was locked into that match. Yeah, it's just. It was
just
like
absolutely loved it, man. I can't
pause it. Banger. It truly was an absolute banger. And Souls here saying Omega versus Ospreay could be the modern day Omega versus Okada. I mean, the fact that we don't consider Omega Okada modern day makes me feel old, but yeah, I mean,
you'd be surprised how long ago that happened. It's kind of
5
scary.
years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually scary. And it's fresh in my head. All of them are fresh in my head.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's
crazy. Yeah, so the first one was in 20. Oh no, so he just turned 2017. So you're like, well, no. So 6 years ago the first one was.
Jesus.
Right. Oh my gosh. 6 years ago. And
I must say that anyone I would have been. It was so good that I would have been fine with either one of them winning. It was not that I thought. I mean, my prediction was going to be Ospreay retaining, but if Omega won, then obviously this is definitely setting up for something at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
So
by the way, I find that so funny. Chaos. All four of us on yesterday's show predicted Ospreay would win.
Yeah, we all did.
All four of us.
I know obviously my predictions weren't great for last night, but I was 110% certain that Omega was winning.
No, you just missed the first two until Kobe went to bed, and then you were right on both of the matches that we watched together after Kobe went to bed. You were 50-50. That's not that bad. Don't be so hard on yourself, Ben.
But Omega, I knew he was winning because there was no way the AEW were going to have him lose. Bring him in to then lose. But especially the way that they were structuring the match, but it's so obvious that he's going to lose it. I honestly think it'll be next Wrestle Kingdom. I think Omega's going to have a good run there in Japan, and I think it'll be next Wrestle Kingdom. They're going to run it back, Omega versus Ospreay 2, and Ospreay will win. And I think that'll be
the wrong way. I mean, I was thinking Forbidden Door, or maybe this whatever US show that they have in because they usually have a big show in the US, don't they? Usually,
I was wondering maybe is it Revolution that's in March? Wouldn't be if you could somehow book that, maybe that'd be cool.
Maybe yeah.
Or I mean that's kind of the soonest I would think AEW wise, unless they did wait till
Forbidden Door. It just makes logical sense for Forbidden Door to be honest.
I think wasn't Forbidden Door in all the way, then that's all the way till July. So Forbidden Door would be a longer wait.
But here's the thing, I don't mind the longer wait. It means we're gonna see more matches of Kenny in New Japan.
And that's the thing.
Right. I actually didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way. I was thinking more to get Ospreay on the AEW side. That makes a lot of sense, Ben. I had it in my head thinking like, oh, we can get Ospreay in AEW for a stretch.
Yeah.
Right? No, and then, but I didn't really consider Omega carrying the belt in New Japan. That you got. Now we're on the same page, guys. I kind of agree with you on that one.
And what were you saying, Chaos?
No, I was just saying, obviously, it might they could hold it for a bit. Omega could hold it for a bit because obviously he'll be busy with the Elite going for the trio titles. Like I think eventually, I'm sure they're going to win it eventually. So obviously, he doesn't have to be defending it so soon at Revolution. And if Forbidden Door is in July, that's a decent stretch. That's 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
That's a good stretch.
That
For him to lose it, or because they need that title has to be on the card. And who's bigger than what?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, because they have
really
so many
good point,
titles,
by the
they
way,
don't
Chaos.
really
I
need
didn't
it on
even
the
think
card.
of it that way.
That's the thing. They do have so many titles where the point of
New Japan,
they can have some. Yeah. They can have some part-time ones, but we've got a couple of comments here. The first one from Soul again. Did you notice Zack Sabre Jr. called the PM a dickhead today and told him to pay nurses better?
Yes,
New
we did.
wrestler for me.
I didn't hear that. But I love Zack Sabre, man. He is no filter. I mean, you thought Will Ospreay's back. I love Zack, man. He's no holds barred. I love him.
I can attest. Allison popped for that and goes, "Wait a minute, did you catch that?" And backed it up so I could hear it again, Soul. And we were loving it. We were like, "Yes, Soul's gonna love that. That's awesome." And then the match was great too. But that was we both popped for that at like 1 a.m. my time. I think that was fun.
No, GSJ's political references for years I've loved. They're just hilarious. Maybe it's a bit political bias in there, but I find them hilarious. And we've got another question, a bit off topic, but we might as well answer it.
Yeah.
Genuine question. What do you think about the idea of a new company that's promotion coming out of Saudi Arabia and using their experience of hosting and money to rival the likes of WWE or AEW? Would that ruin it for everyone?
No. It's just, I mean, I don't think they will be a big threat. I mean, unless they literally used all that oil money and bought every big star out of AEW and WWE to go over there. I mean, it's look what they've done with Cristiano Ronaldo in the football world. It's they purely got him for marketing purposes. And he's not going to move anything major like that, and he's not going to cause any disruption to La Liga or the Premier League. It's just for marketing purposes. If Saudi ever did that kind of stuff, good luck to them. But they can chill there. that's my
I don't want to jump you on this one, Ben, but I'm out on that one. I played college golf. I've seen what Liv's done to the sport and the PGA Tour and Saudi, and nope. No thanks.
I mean, I presume the question was asked because of Ronaldo. Actually, I presume that's where it came from. But I mean, it would be. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a promotion there actually be started and have some good funding behind it. But I would not want all the top names to go there, right? If there was but I mean, not a promotion which isn't targeted, at Americans at the UK, a promotion which is specifically targeted, for Saudi Arabia. I think that could be, it's always good to see more wrestling around the world because currently most of it is in America. So I'd be down to see that. But if they start, if they start getting Mercedes Mone in there, then that's when there might be a little bit of an issue.
But let's be real. Like if Saudi Arabia ever started a promotion and stuff, it will all be for the wrong reasons. The news articles will have a field day with it, especially with how they are politically and all that. We're not gonna get into that, but I'm just saying like Crown Jewel and all them that's really be getting a bad rap. If they started their own thing and then bringing all these names in, it's just it just wouldn't be smart for anyone really going there. And it would just be I don't think it would be best for business. That's my opinion anyway. So
I don't think I could actually agree with you any more than what you just said, Chaos. Like I literally I didn't know you could read my mind, but that was awesome. That was exactly what I'm glad you navigated it, not me, because that's a subject I just don't love to. No.
I know I'm treading carefully, boss. Don't worry. I'm just saying.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's what I mean. Yeah. No,
I agree,
I'm with
honestly,
you.
But I think you put it perfectly there.
I think you couldn't have summed it up any better.
We will now move on to what was the main event of WrestleKingdom. Jay White defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Kazuchika Okada. And unsurprisingly, this match was meh, I think is the only way to describe it. That's what me and Chaos were discussing before this show, and that was the word that he used. And I completely agree with him there. I think that truthfully, we've seen this match too many times now. We've seen them two on top too many times now. I know, I completely understand that in Japan you have a few top stars in each promotion, and that's the way that it's done. It's the way that it's always been done. I know Shingo was kind of, a rule breaker, an exception over the last couple of years to that. And of course, he challenged Okada after the match. Sorry, that's a big part. Okada defeated defeated Jay White to win the World Championship back. But yeah, we've seen them. Okada, we've seen him on top too many times now, and I'm really hoping for something like Shooter Umino to have the Shooter Shock that's rumored, and to just suddenly beat Okada for it. I feel like that could be a big thing. What did you think of the match as a whole, Clark?
So I watched it this morning, right after Omega Ospreay. How could you follow that? I think that's a big factor here. And I also think the slow Jay White really dominated quite a large portion of the match, I think, offensively, and it almost telegraphed the finish for me. Because about halfway through, it's more methodical than any of the, well, not than any of the other matches, but than Omega Ospreay, to say the least, right? Yeah. It's a more methodical, break you down type of match, but all I could think was we're going to get the big rainmaker, and then it's ball game. And it's not that it was telegraphed, but it was just very predictable. Now, they're both such elite talents. That's the only part that was disappointing. I almost wish it was on separate cards. I think they put themselves in an impossible spot having to follow Kenny and Ospreay, right?
No, I completely agree.
I almost wish I would have watched them in reverse order so that I could have like a unique opinion on the show in relation to you guys, right? Because you watched them in order. Yeah, I kind of, in hindsight, wish I'd have done that just to see if it would have affected my opinion, because that's all I could think. It was like it was such a roller coaster ride in a positive way on the Omega Ospreay match, and then you just immediately follow it with White Okada, which, as exciting as it is, it was just going to be impossible to live up to. It really was. There wasn't much they could do to possibly live up to what happened right before.
I mean, they weren't even on the poster. The poster was picturing Ospreay and Omega.
In fairness, that was the US poster. The Japan poster had Jay White Okada on.
Well, that just says it all then.
either way, they produced, to your point, they produced a poster that didn't have the main event on it.
Yeah, exactly. Like they knew that was going to sell. That's how they mainly care about the Western market, and they put those two in there. I'll just go ahead and just jump into what I thought about this match. This match kind of reminded me, if you guys played WWE 2K22, it felt like someone was just kept on countering, just pressing triangle, R2, triangle, R2, R2 square. And it was just back and forth to the point where it was just getting a bit mundane. As I said to Ben earlier, I thought this match was mid, very hard to live up to. Obviously, to Ospreay and Omega, understandably. Nothing to take away from Jay White and Okada. I'm more of an Okada fan than Jay White. But I don't really follow New Japan that much, so I don't really have that much of a connection to Jay White. But yeah, they did put themselves into a corner. Haven't they faced each other like 5 times already?
Yeah. 6 times now. 6.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you're going in almost Randy Orton and John Cena territory. Maybe not as bad, but yeah, it was a tall task. A flat end to the night. But yeah, it is what it is. It was just constant counters, and it just got really, really repetitive for me. But yeah, that's what I think of the match.
And I mean, it was pretty much the exact same of all their other matches. I mean, the story of it is that of course Jay White was meant to be shocked at the fact that maybe he thought the fans really did care for him again now, but they would still be because of course they were clapping a lot for him during the pandemic, but it was because he was getting them to clap, and it was all that stuff. But it's like, come on now, the character you developed Jay White to be, he's not going to be completely thrown off by that. Yeah, and it's like, it's almost like they're going down the Sami Zayn road of Jay White being convinced there's some conspiracy against him and stuff like that. I'm really not liking it at all. And Saul says here, with Jay White losing the belt, what does this mean for Bullet Club? It probably means nothing, to be brutally honest. Jay White, they do it all the time. Like if you lose the title, he'll now try again in the New Japan Cup, maybe go for the Never. Which he definitely might go for the Never, considering Tama Tonga's holding it now, and of course we know the history between Jay White and Tama Tonga. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to really mean too much for Bullet Club at all in the short term. And then I saw also saying Jericho versus Omega for the IWGP US title at the AEW show in Winnipeg. Maybe. I mean, if I was AEW, I don't think I would do that, purely because you have too many titles already, and bringing other promotions' titles in is just a bit excessive. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Chaos?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that is the best thing, especially when there's a lot of not complaints, but I guess, for less of a better word, a disdain for how Ring of Honor has muddied or diluted the waters in AEW. To add the IWGP title. I mean, it will be a typical Jericho move, considering what he's doing now with the Ocho stuff, and trying to collect all the titles. To do it in Winnipeg, I don't know. That is something I could imagine in Forbidden Door. If they don't do the Ospreay thing and they actually go with what you said, Ben, to all the way to next year's WrestleKingdom, Jericho and Omega for the IWGP title at Forbidden Door, that'll be a decent replacement. I'll be cool with that. There's a random one-off.
What do you think, Clark? Would you be up for this match in Winnipeg?
I have no problem with Jericho wrestling Kenny. I mean, we have
Ignacio would. Those are his two worst nightmares.
We have seen it, right? Though before, of course he would, but we have seen it, right, in New Japan. That was Jericho's big pain maker, right? Him and Kenny. And so I mean, I think there's plenty of places where maybe you could let Kenny defend the IWGP US title on AEW, but I also agree with they've got the All Atlantic, and you've got, FTR's now dropped a couple of them, but they were out there carrying a billion belts. They've now Impact belts flying all over the place. Yeah,
what is going on with FTR?
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. By the way, we can get into that. I'd be all over that subject. Not that I'm not. I just don't have I think I don't mind Kenny defending the IWGP US title almost anywhere, but I also, if he's about to win the trios title, I don't need a bunch of extra Kenny matches in AEW with New Japan stakes on the line, especially two AEW guys. I think wrestling for the IWGP US title is kind of an odd look on an AEW show. I don't know how that benefits New Japan.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking as well. I mean, I think
that would kind of rule that one out, right? Just from right. And not necessarily that it'd rule it out. Obviously, there's an agreement in place with Kenny carrying the U.S. title, but it kind of rules out the idea that Jericho could win it, unless they were to, and that would be my only issue with that one. It's a fun fantasy booking, matchup type of a thing, but I also just don't think it fits either one's current trajectory, personally. But on the FTR side, I do think we're going to get FTR acclaimed, but I also don't understand why they had to lose this many times for us to get it.
I guess it's to rebuild them up. I guess that's the only direction they can possibly go in.
What do we need to rebuild? They're as over as anybody. Sorry.
I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. And the brutal thing is, I think they're going to lose to the acclaimed. Maybe I don't even know, because then it's a difficult situation, but I guess promotions wouldn't be happy if they're, but then they lost in Ring of Honor first, so that doesn't make any sense either. I was going to say perhaps our promotions, wouldn't be happy if they lost an AEW title match to the acclaimed. Actually, I know what it is. I know what it is. It must be that they're going to win off the acclaimed, and Tony Khan doesn't want them as AEW tag team champions to drop the titles, drop any other titles or lose it all, because otherwise you'll be back in the Kenny Omega situation, which caused a lot of drama between promotions. That'll be what it is.
That is exactly what it is. I think, Ben, that makes a lot of sense. Dot connecting wise here. Because I was going to say, I mean, at All Out, man, they were one of the, they only offered like 4 different of the actual wrestler shirts. And then there was like about 5 different event shirts at the merch stands between Rampage and All Out this year.
Yeah.
And I saw FTR was one of them. Danhausen was one of them. I'm trying to remember the other 2. There was a Mox shirt and then the Punk shirt. Thank you. And of those 4, I saw FTR shirts flying off. Like there were so many people but I thought at the time, actually, my one buddy made a really good point. He was like, it's the only one that's like a gray t-shirt as opposed to just like the classic black. So it kind of did stand out in relation to the rest. And I was like, ooh, I didn't think of it that way. And that's not to take away from how over they were, but I did find it fascinating just how much their t-shirts flew off the shelf that weekend.
No, they
really did.
That's a very good insight. And unfortunately, Chaos Soul has turned heel on you in the comments.
I love you too, Soul. I love you too. He just yeah.
All love Soul.
It's so good. He knows I'm right. That's why he's acting out.
It's true. It's true. He knows it. But anyway, guys, thank you to everybody who has watched today. We hope you enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom. And tonight is AEW Dynamite, the rebrand. Is the on-screen product going to change? Is the camera angles going to change? What's going to happen? We're going to have to watch and find out. But we'll be back here tomorrow to talk to you guys all about it. So I look forward to it, guys. Thank you, Chaos and Clark, for joining us today. And it should be a banging show tomorrow. So we'll see you guys again, same time tomorrow. See you.
Peace.